So in this video, I'm going to give you my review of Netflix's new series, Dark, and we're starting right now. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Ryan, and this is where I review movies and shows from a variety of different platforms to help you manage your expectations so you're sure to get the most from your viewing experience. So if you haven't already, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Okay, so one thing you need to know about Dark is that it's Netflix's attempt to make an original German series, which means it was filmed in German. So if you're watching the show and the English dialogue doesn't exactly match up with what they're saying, it's because you're watching a voiceover. But to be honest with you, after the first couple of minutes, you hardly notice that because the story is so engaging. Now, when it comes to the plot, I really don't want to give you a lot of information because it is slowly revealed over the course of the first 2 episodes. But what I will tell you is this. It seems to be a supernatural thriller that really centers around a small town in Germany. Now, a couple of these characters have experienced a number of different tragedies in the course of their life. And when some of these tragedies seem to be repeating themselves, it drags up a number of old wounds, setting all these characters on a course to figure out exactly what was going on. Now let's just get the obvious out of the way. Every internet reviewer is going to make some kind of comparison between this show and Stranger Things because the story structure is very similar, especially starting out in the first couple of episodes. It seems to revolve around a group of kids. One of them goes missing. There's a mysterious company that's obstructing the investigation. Even the 80s seem to play a significant factor in this story. So it'd be real easy to hear all of that and say, well, this is just a Stranger Things knockoff. But if you give it a little bit of time, it really does evolve into something much more original. I mean, I was hooked from the very opening shot of this show. It starts off with this really eerie monologue that sets the context. The music is really suspenseful, building your anticipation. And I won't go into any details as to what you see, but I will say it seems to revolve around this letter. And the mystery that surrounds this letter is what really compels you to keep watching. Now, as I was watching the show, I began to notice a couple of other things. I noticed that it was written really well because the nature of this story lends itself to contradiction. Now, what that means is if you actually watch this show back to back, there's a number of times where it has an opportunity to contradict the things that came before it. But at no point did I ever notice that happening. And that's a real testament to how well this show has been structured. Now, I do have to give the directors and the showrunner a little bit of credit because this is a pretty complicated story. And because it incorporates flashbacks, you have multiple actors all playing the same character at different points in their life. And when you have that kind of story structure, it can become pretty easy to get lost along the way. So one thing they would do is give you these visual cues in various different episodes to help you keep who was who straight in your head. Now, another thing I really enjoyed about this show is that they unveiled the truth very organically. You know, a lot of shows would really hold on to their mysteries until the final episode, but this show doesn't necessarily do that. It unveils the truth as it becomes relevant in the story. And a perfect example of this would be that letter I was telling you about earlier. Now, I won't tell you exactly when it happens, but I will tell you, you don't have to wait to the very final episode to find out exactly what that is all about. Now, as great as the show is, I do have a couple of concerns I would like to share. And one of those concerns is there's still a number of unanswered questions. Now, some of these unanswered questions are perfectly okay. For example, there is a character that is still shrouded in mystery. I have no idea who he was when the show started. I still have no idea who he is when the show ends. And while there is still some subtle hints you may pick up along the way, there's really nothing definitive. But that's the kind of question that you can answer in future seasons. Some of these questions seem to really revolve around season 1 and the plot structure around it. For example, there are some mysterious murders that take place in the course of these 10 episodes. And while how these people die may be explained, why they died and how it relates to everything else that's going on is still a little up in the air. Now, the other concern I have is dealing with the final shot of the whole show. Now, obviously, I'm not going to tell you what that is, but I will say it's one of these shots that's meant to set up where the show's going to go in the future. And when I watched it, it felt like they were kind of changing the rules of their own show. It seemed like they were changing the DNA of what really made season 1 great. And it gives me serious concerns about what season 2 is going to bring. Now, I'll reserve judgment until after I see it, but I'm not looking forward to it at this point. So despite some questions I may still have lingering, I really enjoyed this show. I felt like it was put together really well. I enjoyed the directing of it. The music was spectacular, and I would absolutely recommend you go out and see it as soon as you get a chance. So if you've made it to this point in the video, that means you must have liked it, so why don't you go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Make sure you check out some of my other reviews on the side here, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you're kept up to date next time I get ready to upload a new video.